借文纪，请以热烈的掌声欢迎二位。
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank Dr. Jack Chan and his team. This is once again a wonderful event. Great job. I'm happy to be moderating the first keynote speech on new commercial opportunities after the 7th Taiwan-U.S. Trade Investment Framework Agreement meeting. The resumption of bilateral Taiwan-U.S. TIFA talks recently concluded in Taipei, and the Deputy United States Trade Representative, Demetrius Mantras, praised their positive outcomes. We have a special treat today because the Deputy Chief Negotiator from Taiwan's Office of Trade Negotiations at the Ministry of Economic Affairs is here to speak to us about the recent talks and what commercial opportunities they bring. Dale W. Jie has served with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for over 20 years in places like Chicago, Thailand, Belgium, and he also received his master's degree from the Free University in Brussels. He was the Director General of the TECO office in Kansas City, Kansas in 2008. Please join me in welcoming Dale W. Jie to the podium.
Thank you, John, for this very kind introduction. Mr. Yang, Xiuxin, Dr. Zhan Zhenhuan, Deputy Director Brent Christensen, Branch Chief Gary Oba, Director Zheng Wensheng, Deputy Branch Chief John Hartman, Principal Commercial Officer Gregory Harris, Professor Michael Sinkota, President Brian Alo, and Dr. Qiu Zhang, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I was told to deliver my speech in English, so this speech is prepared in English, but I have just given a copy of my speech to the translator and hope they can translate it into, impromptu translate speech into Chinese. So to make sure everybody can get my message precisely. It is a great pleasure and privilege for me to be invited to this forum at this beautiful harbor city of Kaohsiung, where I consider also a citizen of it, because while I was doing my military service, I was stationed in Kaohsiung County at that time, so I'm very familiar with this place, and I came back to visit harbor city so often, and it's still one of my most favorite cities in the world. And I'm privileged that I'm being invited to this forum to share with you some of our thoughts on the Taiwan-U.S. economic and trade opportunities in the wake of the 7th meeting of TIFA, which took place at Taipei this March after almost 6 years of delay and waiting. As we are well aware, TIFA was signed on the 19th of September 1994 with a quite lofty aim to establish a long-standing council as well as joint ad hoc working groups for senior trade officials from both Taiwan and the United States to convene meetings to review and ultimately work toward the removal of measures that distort bilateral trade and investment flow, as well as to identify opportunities for expanding trade and investment, also negotiating agreements where appropriate. Throughout the years, under the TIFA structure, senior trade officials of Taiwan and the US have jointly made tremendous achievements, including Taiwan's successful accession to the World Trade Organization and its government procurement agreement, strengthening Taiwan's regimes on intellectual property protection, coordinating rules and regulations of both Taiwan and the US in the fields of pharmaceutical and medical devices, telecommunications, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, technical regulations, standards, etc. In the meantime, the head of delegation for the TIFA meeting from both Taiwan and US has been elevated from Director General and Assistant USTR to Deputy Economic Minister and Deputy USTR, respectively. Thus, we feel that TIFA has become the most important agreement for high-level trade dialogue between Taiwan and the US, and it is imperative to the continuous cooperation and development of the economic and trade relations between Taiwan and the US. The 7th TIFA meeting took place in Taipei on the 10th of March this year. Vice Economy Minister Zhuo of Taiwan and the Deputy USTR Ambassador Dimitrios Marentis of the US co-hosted the meeting. The agenda of the meeting was quite comprehensive, covering various vital issues of mutual concern, including investment, intellectual property rights, technical barriers to trade, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, agricultural, regional and multilateral trade initiatives, etc. Due to hard work from both sides, the meeting produced several significant results, which are new joint statements on shared principles for international investment and trade principles for information and communication technology services. And also, 2 working groups were announced to launched. They are working groups on investment and working group on technical barriers to trade. Those are the 2 new working groups under the TIFA structure. Regarding the joint statement, the 4 concrete results, one of the 4 concrete results of this meeting, the joint statement on shared principles for international investment. Both sides pledged to endeavor to recognize higher standard of protection to foreign investment within their territory, which include, first, a level playing field for public-owned enterprises and private commercial enterprises in given market. Second, a fair and binding dispute settlement, including investor-to-state arbitration. Third, the highest level of transparency and public participation in the development of domestic laws and other measures relating to investment. And last but not least, to ensure the reviews of the national security implications of foreign investments focus exclusively on factors posing genuine national security risk. Since The US is Taiwan's biggest source of foreign investment, with an accumulated investment amount reaching $22.8 billion. And the fact that US government is actively promoting the Select USA program as part of a broader strategy to attract greater foreign direct investment to the United States. We appreciate that such a joint statement, we anticipate that such a joint statement on shared principles for international investment would not only lay the foundation for the discussion of the potential Taiwan-US bilateral investment agreement negotiation, but also enhance the confidence of investors from both the US and Taiwan to increase investment flows to one another. As for the second concrete result of the TIFA meeting, which is joint statement on trade principles for information and communication technology services. It manifested in a way that both sides pledged to enhance domestic regulatory capacity and support expansion of ICT networks and services, which are powerful tools to ensure a healthy and undistorted growth of cross-border cyber trade, which further contributes to economic development. Given that both Taiwan and the US are important players in global ICT market and also share many common viewpoints and interests in this field, the joint statement will no doubt further enhance mutual support and cooperation in the forming of an international ICT regulatory system and the healthy growth of a global ICT services market. Regarding the two newly established working groups, the investment working group is designed to add momentum to the discussion of enhancing mutual investment regimes on the basis of future plans of exploring possibility to launch negotiation for a bilateral investment agreement between Taiwan and the United States. Another working group, the Technical Barrier of Trade Working Group, aims at constructive cooperation of both standardizing bodies and enhanced discussion on international standards and regulatory coherence. We think our two industries will benefit tremendously from the establishment of this group due to the likely simplification and coherence of technical regulations and standards for trade of goods between Taiwan and the United States. In the joint press conference after the meeting, Deputy USTR, Mr. Ambassador Morantes, also head of the US delegation, said the resumption of TIFA between Taiwan and the United States represent a new stage in our economic relationship that will more fully open the lines of communication and trade and investment. We certainly endorse his views and would like to add that the meeting has brought our trade and investment relations with the United States back on track and have further laid a sound foundation, enabling us to continue to update and enhance mutually beneficial relations, not only in trade and investment, but also in the realms of industry and technology. It is our sincere hope that TIFA, the primary mechanism for trade and investment dialogue between Taiwan and the United States, can remain vibrant and innovative so that we may constantly re-energize and deepen our long-standing partnership in trade and economy. Ladies and gentlemen, Taiwan and the US have a long and positive history of cooperation and many shared interests, and both benefit from a dynamic trading relationship. Two-way trade of 2012 totaled 63.2 billion, accounting for 1.7% share of US trade. Taiwan is the 11th largest trading partner of the US, and US is the third largest trading partner as well as the largest foreign investor in Taiwan. Although the value of our bilateral trade has increased over the years, it is also true that the US share of Taiwan's foreign trade has shrunk significantly from 26% in year 1992 to only around 10% in year 2012. This is a trend that we think deserves serious and urgent attention by our two sides. Looking to the future, as a direct result from the fast-changing world, economic, and trade landscape, both Taiwan and the United States will face a growing number of unprecedented challenges as well as opportunities. In this context, we attach great importance and expectations to our trade and economic relationship with the United States. Traditionally, U.S. plays leadership role in promoting global trade liberalization. We are very much encouraged by the U.S. action to promote stronger global trade agenda recently. We are very optimistic that Taiwan and the U.S. can jointly identify a number of concrete proposals that will strengthen our bilateral economic and trade relations in innovative ways, while also providing useful models for similar agreement with other governments. In this regard, we remain highly interested in a US-Taiwan FTA or ECA-type trade agreement. In addition, while we explore launching such an effort, we propose continuing to enhance bilateral economic relations using a building block approach, covering key policy area of mutual interest. For example, as mentioned above, a US-Taiwan bilateral investment agreement. In the multilateral field, the US has been a key advocate for our accession to international trade forums, including WTO and APEC. We have reciprocated by being a close ally and constructive partner of the US in these forums. For example, in APEC, we strongly supported the US initiative to lower tariffs on environmental goods and services. In WTO, together with the United States, we are one of the 22 participants in the Trade in Service Agreement negotiations. And we hope this emergent agreement is called TISA. And we hope that TISA talks will make progress this year. In the same manner, in the collective efforts to modernize and expand 1996 Information Technology Agreement, the so-called IPA, we stand side by side with the United States, striving for the goal of having outcomes on the IPA expansion be announced at the WTO ministerial meeting in Bali, Indonesia, in this coming December. In response to the fast-changing international economic development, President Ma has announced Taiwan's vision of next golden decade, including a vow to engage actively in the global waves of regional economic integration. The signing of the Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement with mainland China, our biggest trade partner, in year 2010, has encouraged other trading partners to follow suit In year 2011, we signed an investment agreement with Japan and is currently negotiating the signing of the free economic cooperation agreement with Singapore and New Zealand. All these efforts and achievements not only demonstrate our determination in trade liberalization, but also will create favorable conditions for our future participation in high-quality regional trade agreements, such as TPP. We strongly believe that if we want to secure our economic future, we must build up our global competitiveness and trade liberalization. And trade liberalization is one of the most important pillars that will support our effort to achieve this goal. Ladies and gentlemen, Taiwan has always highly valued the bilateral trade and economic partnership with the United States. We think it is of great importance that our bilateral relationship with the United States moves forward tremendously, and we are convinced that Taiwan and the US will fully explore the maximum potential for our greater economic cooperation and prosperity. Thank you.
谢谢 Hartman 副处长与届副总谈判代表。第2场专题演讲讲题为“美台经济关系迈向成长”，主持人为行政院杨秋兴政务委员，演讲者为 AIT 美国在台对不起，要去本人呀。OK，sorry， 对不起我们现在先有一段 Q&A。
I think we have a little bit of time for some questions. I don't know the exact time here, but I'll let Dr. Jan direct it.
Primed for Growth with moderator Minister Yang Chuxing and keynote speaker AIT Deputy Director Brent Christensen. Please welcome them to the stage.
好，谢谢。我想很荣幸来担任今天第2场演讲的主持人。那今天的演讲者是我们很熟悉的美国在台协会我们黎副处长。那黎副处长是美国非常成功的一位资深杰出的外交官，过去曾经获得国务多次颁奖，肯定杰出的表现。黎副处长他以奥勒冈卫生科学大学取得牙医学士，并拥有乔治华盛顿大学硕士学位，以及200汉大学学术学位。为前美国国务院台湾协调处处长，现任美国在协会台北办事处的副处长。时间关系，我们是用热烈掌声来欢迎我们黎副处长，谢谢大家，谢谢。
Thank you, Minister Yang, for that kind invitation, or that kind introduction. Minister Yang, Deputy Chief Negotiator Jia, Professor Sinkota, President Aiello, Chairman John, distinguished guests and friends. Thank you all for inviting me to join you today at today's forum. For all of us at AIT, opportunities like this to meet with business and community leaders, academics, and the public in Southern Taiwan are important because they inform our priorities as we work to promote U.S. business interests abroad and investment at home. I would like to thank the organizers and today's distinguished participants for spending so much of their valuable time to ensure this event's success. Since I arrived in AIT last summer, I've made it a priority to get out and learn as much as possible about Taiwan and American business priorities and commercial opportunities here. Each time I come to Kaohsiung, a place I know well, I discover something new about what makes this city the backbone of Taiwan's economy. As you may know, I first came to Kaohsiung, Zoing, to be precise, more than 30 years ago. I can only begin to tell you how many changes I have noticed since that time, and most of these are improvements. Very impressive improvements. With notable improvements in transportation infrastructure, educational options, parks and green spaces, and an ever-improving quality of life, it is clear that Kaohsiung is a city of ambition and aspirations. This afternoon, I wanted to highlight some of the very positive developments that have occurred during the past 18 months in the U.S.-Taiwan economic and commercial relationship. U.S.-Taiwan trade is important for both of our economies. Taiwan is now our 11th largest trading partner, our 7th largest agricultural market, and the 16th largest destination for U.S. products overall. U.S. exports to Taiwan totaled nearly $25 billion in 2012, and total bilateral trade in goods exceeded $63 billion last year. Clearly, this is an important commercial and economic relationship, and it is important that we keep working to make it better. First, I wanted to take the opportunity to talk with you about two events that happened in Taipei recently. A meeting of the U.S.-Taiwan TIFA Council that Mr. Janet recently discussed, and the annual conference of APCAC, the Asia Pacific Council of American Chambers of Commerce. Both of these were top priorities for AIT that we've spent months, and in the case of TIFA, even years, working very hard to achieve. Both had very high level attention from senior Washington officials, and both ended up being very successful. Moreover, both events have implications for all of Taiwan and the foreign and domestic businesses that operate here, and I hope you will find them relevant to your work as well. On March 10th, former Deputy United States Trade Representative Demetrius Morantis, along with other representatives from the USTR, AIT, the Departments of State, Commerce, and Agriculture, met with their Taiwan counterparts at the Ministry of Economic Affairs for a meeting of the U.S.-Taiwan Trade and Investment Framework Agreement, otherwise known as TIFA, Council. The resumption of TIFA talks is perhaps the clearest indication of the interest that currently exists in Washington to strengthen the U.S.-Taiwan economic relationship. We have not had a TIFA Council meeting since 2007, as Jay indicated. This was because of certain trade issues, most prominently related to U.S. meat exports. We've been working very closely with Taiwan over the years to make progress on important trade and investment topics, even without a formal council meeting. The March TIFA Council meeting, however, marked a very significant and positive step forward. The TIFA meetings produced a number of successful outcomes, including new joint statements on investment principles and information and communication technology services, and the launch of new TIFA working groups on investment and technical barriers to trade. Ambassador Morantis welcomed Taiwan's progress in other areas as well, such as the recent passage of amendments to the Trade Secrets Act to increase criminal penalties in order to deter the theft of trade secrets. Ambassador Morantis, in his words, said, "The resumption of TIFA talks represents a new stage in our economic relationship that will more fully open the lines of communication on trade and investment." He was very pleased with the full and intensive discussions we had. He also encouraged Taiwan to continue to pursue economic reforms and market opening measures and efforts to deepen ties with regional and global partners. While much of the focus of the TIFA meeting was on the bilateral relationship between the United States and Taiwan, we also engaged in common efforts to liberalize trade internationally. Thus, we also reaffirmed with Taiwan the importance of cooperation in regional and multilateral forums like APEC and WTO, where Taiwan is a member economy and a key partner of the United States in favor of free trade initiatives. We agreed on the importance of accelerating negotiations to expand the Information Technology Agreement and continuing cooperation on an International Services Agreement. We have welcomed Taiwan's efforts to increase the stature of this economy as a responsible and important player in the region and the world. As such, AIT was also an enthusiastic supporter of the decision to host the most recent meeting of the Asia-Pacific Council of American Chambers of Commerce, or APCAC, in Taipei. So on March 21st and 22nd, distinguished business and industry leaders of the region converged on Taipei to attend the annual meeting of APCAC. APCAC represents 10,000 business entities from 22 economies in the region, 20 American Chambers of Commerce, as well as the U.S. Chamber of Commerce from Washington, D.C., attended this event. The APCAC annual meeting was significant for a number of reasons. For one thing, this is the first time in 20 years that Taiwan has served as the host, so the conference itself is a major opportunity for Taiwan to showcase itself to business leaders from across the region. Second, senior officials from Washington, D.C. had an opportunity to engage directly with business leaders, President Ma, and policymakers in Taiwan. The State Department sent Atul Keshap, senior official for APEC, to attend, and the State Department also sent several special representatives for commercial and business affairs, Lauren Harrison, from the Department's Bureau of Economic and Business Affairs. And the Department of Commerce sent Daniel Harris, Regional Director for East Asia and the Pacific. Thirdly, APCAC was an opportunity for us to recognize Taiwan's continued support for U.S. companies. The success of U.S. businesses relies in no small measure on the support of local authorities for foreign investment, for facilitating market entry and exit, and for openness and transparency. At every opportunity, we encourage authorities and regulators to be fair and friendly to business. To the extent they implement policies and decisions that are transparent and in line with international best practices, they can ensure that Taiwan maintains an environment that welcomes foreign companies and investment and will continue to enjoy more confidence internationally. Taiwan's ranking 13th out of 144 economies in the World Economic Forum's two most recent annual global competitiveness reports is a recognition of this. As noted in connection with both the TIFA talks and the APCAC event, one of the very positive trends and developments in the U.S.-Taiwan relationship is an increase in the number of visits by senior leaders from Washington to Taiwan. These visits further our goals, both under the Taiwan Relations Act to develop people-to-people ties, and under the National Export Initiative to promote our own economy through expanded trade and investment. They proved to be valuable opportunities for high-level exchanges of views, to strengthen mutual understanding, and to explore areas for future cooperation, whether between the United States and Taiwan, as members of APEC, or the WTO, or in other forums. Moreover, they enable visitors from Washington to return with a much better appreciation of Taiwan's significance as a tremendous partner in trade, as well as in other areas. It is certainly true, as the Chinese saying goes, 百玩不如一见. As you may remember, other high-ranking visitors from the United States included U.S. Commerce Undersecretary for International Trade, Francisco Sanchez, as well as USTR Assistant Secretary, wait, this is not right, it's Treasury Assistant Secretary, Rutherford, and Department of Treasury, Department Assistant, Deputy Assistant Secretary Robert Donor. Deputy Assistant Secretary Donor visited Kaohsiung, in fact, while he was in Taiwan, and had the opportunity to meet with Mayor Chen. Several congressional delegations have also visited Taiwan in recent months, including a 6-member congressional delegation led by the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Ed Royce. This delegation also visited Kaohsiung in January of this year, and it is worth noting that Chairman Royce, in his very first overseas visit, came to Taiwan as his very first stop. I am sure that by now everyone is aware of Taiwan's entrance into the United States Visa Waiver Program. This program allows short-term visitors, those whose visit is under 90 days, to go to the U.S. without a visa after they register with the ESTA program. I understand this is of greatest benefit to all of you here in southern Taiwan. No more trips to Taipei for a visa, which means a lot less mafan for everyone. We hope more Taiwan residents will seize the opportunity to travel to the United States. I know that our office in Kaohsiung has been working closely with travel agents and associations and media to promote tourism to the United States as part of the My Dream Vacation program and other events such as the Kaohsiung International Travel Fair and recent seminars hosted by U.S. destination cities and airlines. Another initiative that may be of interest to some of you is the Select USA program. Select USA is the U.S. federal government's first full-fledged program to promote investment in the United States. The program is headquartered in the Commerce Department, but calls upon all agencies to let everyone overseas know about the great opportunities in America that are available to foreign investors. In fact, the first major international event for the program will be the Select USA Summit in Washington, D.C. from October 31st to November 1st of this year. So even as we encourage you to consider investing in the United States, I would note that AIT is in a sense investing in Kaohsiung. We have entered into a multi-year lease for a new office facility in the newly constructed landmark China Steel building. We are currently reviewing bids and expect to soon select a contractor for the interior work on the new offices. And we hope to be settled in the new offices by the Chinese New Year of this coming new year. Together with the Commonwealth Magazine Foundation and other generous donors, including China Motor Corporation, Zhonghua Telecom, and the Hanhai Foundation, we have also invested in a new mobile American Corner that provides small rural schools with access to English children's books, Wi-Fi, iPad, pads, computers, and other equipment. This unique vehicle is a tremendous resource in promoting cultural exchange, and I'm very pleased that the first schools visited by the Mobile American Corner were here in southern Taiwan. This resource is currently in Tainan and will soon visit Pingdong. We believe this new program will bring the benefits of internationalization and advanced technology to more and more youngsters throughout Taiwan. The futures of Asia and the United States are intertwined and mutually interdependent. President Obama, in November 2011, announced when he announced the U.S. rebalance to Asia, he said, "History teaches us the greatest force in the world has ever known for creating wealth and opportunity is free markets. So we seek economies that are open and transparent. We seek trade that is free and fair. And we seek an open international economic system where rules are clear and every nation plays by them." Taiwan's economic success owes much important, and it is good news. These talks can provide new momentum in our economic relationship by more fully opening up lines of communication about trade and investment. We are committed to doing all that we can to bring a prosperous and productive relationship to build a prosperous and productive relationship between the United States and Taiwan. We will continue to advance constructive dialogue directed at creating a better business environment, and we will continue to promote innovative commercial and cultural programming such as the Mobile American Corner, My Dream Vacation, and Select USA to promote increased trade and better mutual understanding. In closing, I'd like to thank you all for attending today. Please accept my best wishes for health, success, and happiness. Thank you.
谢谢。现在我们是有 Q&A 的。